So in writing The Current of Deep Time, she's actually writing timelessness. There is a coherence. So if we could use another word for deep time, we're going to call it coherence. There is a coherence between aspects of herself. There's a lack of conflict within herself and with life, a lack of conflict with life. And we can see it in the difference of her between this, if we characterize this as noise, and this as music. That there's this kind of a basic rhythmic pattern that starts getting formed between different aspects of the self that help one to sort of be congruent. There's no brokenness between parts. So if we look at it too another way than what we were talking about last time, then I would write it down for you. And this goes right back to the beginning, which is why I'll bring it there. Then I would write it down as the coherence or the connection between movement and sensation, emotion and expression, and mindfulness and reflection. Somewhat characterized by being more centered within these different centers here, the center here being the physical center of gravity, your center of gravity right below your belly button. It's like an actual physics center of gravity. Your emotional center, which is your heart, and obviously your thought center, which is more your brain. And then we put all of these together, we call it coherence, and it would be a deep coherence between the neurophysiology, deep biological patterns, emotion and thought. Not thinking. Thinking is like where you like bounce around. And thought is more solid, stable, and more following like the laws of the mind and nature. So we have coherence with that connection. And so we would say that this 93-year-old yoga instructor is very connected, right? And that supersedes anything that having to do with her age. It just is, right? These things just are, and they're timeless. So that's a really important piece here. So there's one more piece, but I'm going to wait for that, and I'm actually probably going to save it for next time and ask you any of your reflections, emotions, or sensations about all of that.
I see her as a, and I think about these things as if it's a bank account, and that she's put a lot of investment into bringing these elements together, and through a modality with yoga, and that helps you practice organizing your body, and then it also has a relationship with your emotions and all these different experiences, or this coherence. And by practicing, I feel like it's a gift, and you have to practice using it and putting everything together.
Absolutely, on a consistent basis, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I would think that the most difficult thing would be to, when you do disconnect, because everybody does. That's different times.
Maybe you, Lisa.
Often, to find the coherence and connection again, and have it, all of these things come back together again.
Yes.
And that's what is hard to do, I think, for some people, unless it's just sort of, you've been doing it for so long that it just kind of comes back
Yeah.
you, you know, and it's a,
And a quick aside note about that, and then Barb, I want to hear.
Yeah.
A quick aside note is that you have to actually become non-coherent, incoherent, in order to find coherence again. You have to get off balance in order to really find a deeper balance within. So, yeah,
and so that's a part of it.
that's a part of it. Exactly.
I was just going to say peace, finding peace in the interruptions.
Mm.
So, in other words, interpreting them in a peaceful way.
Yes.
So on those three levels.
Yes.
So instead of integrating the interruptions, you're peacefully reinterpreting them
Yes.
halfway, because it's so easy to not be in that space and to want to mentally interpret something and go off on that tangent. So that's just
Mentally interpret as wrong, bad,
yeah,
that
wrong,
kind of
bad,
thing, right? Exactly, as opposed to, oh, this other stuff is right. Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
I believe that she always sensed that she had that gift and then trusted herself and just didn't look right or left, and then you say always fell back into it. Because I don't think as how much we would try to get ever to this point, that's a combination of the gift, of the belief, of the trust, of the faith, and then losing the fearlessness in it. It's just so whole and amazing. I almost have no words for that.
Yeah, that's amazing. You know, you guys all talking about the incoherence and the
Yes.
fact that we get there, and then the interpretation of it, or my interpretation, or my perception of it
Yeah.
as being peaceful, and then my awareness and my trust even deeper, that I've always had this gift and I must bring it forward. For sure, coherence is often a calling.
Yeah.
All right, it's calling based. I feel called to do something, and therefore, no matter how much I get off balance with that thing, I know that I'm there to work with it and get back on and bring it together. I'm here to bring it together.
It also reminds me of her singleness of focus for yoga.
Uh-huh.
So she didn't have many focus. I mean, she didn't discuss her other focus areas, but her yoga
Mhm.
was her life.
Yes.
Single focus.
Yes.
So we get, you know, me personally, I have many focuses. So my challenge has always been to refocus more simply.
Mm-hmm. Yes, so the depth of one, as a famous theologian would say about spiritual studies, better if you take a small spoon and dig a few holes around, better that you take one spoon and dig one hole deep. Then you'll kind of become, you know, Houston Smith, you'll know the other ones by the nature of knowing the one. Uh-huh. So that's the goal too.
As you were talking, and everyone else as well, it's like if we use reflection to stay mindful and express our true emotions and sense our movement and use sensation to keep us on our path, we're better at just staying on the path then, and knowing, you used the word a couple of times, knowing that we just need to do what we're doing is working, and we're on our path, maybe, and it's trusting, and there's no fear. Yeah, it's not like we have to choose to not be afraid. It's just not there when we're on the right path.
Yes.
And coherent.
It's right. Coherence is definitely a knowing, and so then there's the choosing. We don't need to not choose to be not afraid. We don't need to choose not being afraid, because we already aren't afraid.
Yeah.
And we also are. I will just add that, you know, right? We're always both, right? We're never not like, oh, I'm completely not afraid.
Yeah.
You know, you need fear as a guide, right? You need incoherence as a guide to back to the other side.
You need to know when you're off.
You need to know when you're off.
center,
Yeah.
when you're off your
Yeah,
path.
and you get off
Yeah.
center, and that's how you find back on, like really, really more deeply a lot of times. But I need to know that I'm not afraid.
Mm.
I'm fearless, and then I also need to know I am afraid as well.
Mhm.
But the knowing that I'm not afraid is deeper, is much deeper.
Mm.
So, great comments. Thank you, and truly thoughtful, truly coherent comments on all of that.